Let's open up the Hope County School Board, August the 10th meeting. Invitation is going to be given by Ms. Keisha Gill.
Thank you, Vice. We thank you, Lord, for this day, Lord. We thank you for allowing us to come back together and convene for another school board meeting, Lord. We ask that you bless us as we come together and make solid decisions for our county. And we ask that you continue to watch over our superintendent, our school board members, our administrative staff, our students, and our teachers, and our entire employees here in Hope County, Lord. We ask that you continue to bless us in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you for that invocation. Next on the agenda is the chairman's report. I have one thing that I would like to say. We were able, the Polk Native American Scholarship Association invited some of the sponsors to their presentation, and we were able to go and be a part of that. And the young man that had the drones was one of the recipients of that scholarship. And then another young lady by the name of Destiny Chavis, and the young man named is Riley Scott. They both were recipients. And the Hope Native American Scholarship Association started in 2007, and they have raised $125,900, sorry. And they have given scholarships to 94 students since 2007. And I thought that was that's awesome. That's awesome. These two recipients received $3,500 apiece. And so again, that's awesome. And those of you that give to that the scholarship, those of you that go to the dinner, you know, it goes to this fund. So I'm sure the Hope County Native American Scholarship Association thanks you. And they do other things to raise money, but it's a big deal. It's a big deal, and it goes to the Native Americans. That was on August the 1st, 2021, and it was, they had some hors d'oeuvres or whatever, but it was really nice. Dr. Dallas was there, Sheriff Pedik, and some other folk that gives. So it was a good thing. So, do anyone else have anything to say?
I would like to say,
Sure.
Yes, June the 22nd and June the 27th, I went out to do walkthrough at the schools, and I would like to thank Dr. Register for coordinating that, Dr. Dallas for being the presence, and Dr. Mansour and Dr. Hunt. I did visit at East Hope Middle, West Hope Elementary, and West Hope Middle. I also went out on June the 27th, and I did Sandy Grove Elementary, and I did early college, and I did the high school.
Was it summer school or?
It was summer school.
Good.
So I really enjoyed it. Kind of let me see how the summer school was. It was working out during the summer school. Teachers were very excited, and the students were kind of quiet. So I guess they was learning, taking in all the education and knowledge that they could get. But it was a great experience.
Good, thank you. Anyone else?
Okay, I would just like to say that the community, Barbara and I attended the LUI, the senior citizen. And that was enjoyable. We enjoyed it. Was out on the field at McLaughlin Field, and we had a good time. We had a good time.
Good, you have to tell me about that. You don't want to join. Okay, next on the agenda is approval of the agenda. May I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I
Yes.
approve the agenda for April 10, 2021.
Thank you, Ms. Pickett. May I have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Ms. Bowie. It has been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. Any questions? All in favor? All opposed? The ayes have it. The agenda is approved. Next on the agenda is Spotlight on Success, and I will yield to our superintendent.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. We have one item for Spotlight on Success for this evening. And I'm going to publicly apologize because we do not have your plaque ready, but we will get that for you. But I would like to recognize Ms. Lanae Chavis, our finance officer and her department for receiving the award for financial reporting achievement. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Lanae Chavis and just have her share a little bit about the award so that we can publicly acknowledge her entire department for their hard work. Mrs. Lanae loves these.
Yeah, I tried real hard to get out of it. So a little bit about, it's the Government Finance Officer's Certificate of Achievement of Excellence in Financial Reporting. And it's called the GFOA. The GFOA established the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting in 1945 to encourage and assist state and local governments to go beyond the minimum requirements of generally accepted accounting principles to prepare comprehensive annual financial reports that evidence the spirit of transparency and full disclosure, and then to recognize the individual governments that succeed in achieving that goal. The Certificate of Achievement is the highest form of recognition in governmental accounting and financial reporting. Polk County Schools Comprehensive Annual Financial Report for the fiscal year ended June 30, 2020 has met the requirements to be awarded the GFOA Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. With this, there are 17 categories that we are graded on. I don't want to go through all 17 categories, but of the 17, we were proficient in 16 out of 17 categories.
Right.
And you ask, why not the one we missed? Well, the one category that we weren't proficient in, we weren't applicable for it. So we weren't graded on because we didn't qualify for that one. It was fiduciary fund financial statements, which we weren't part of that category. So of the ones we were eligible for, we were proficient on them. Then we had 3 comments on this report, and with these comments, we just have to follow up with some detail of why they commented on. It's not findings, it's just comments of ways to improve our next capital when reported, and 2 just needed clarification on, and 1 comment was actually for changes that were coming in December of 2020, which was after our report was done, and future years on that reporting.
So even though we don't have our plaque, do you want to get a group picture maybe with the board in 1A and to capture that? She loves these things.
Just hold it on.
Yeah. Or no, do you want to wait, or do you want to do a group picture?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can get out the stretch. I know.
You and Ms. Bowie are excited about it.
We are just so excited. Since you initiated it, come on.
Are we gonna do,
Which way?
Ready to do this angle.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Come on, Bob. If y'all like to pull your mask down, you can, or however it's okay. Give you the opportunity. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Very well deserved. Okay, so Madam Chair and members, that does conclude our spotlight on success for this evening.
Thank you. Yeah. Do we have any public comment? Nope. Okay. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. I have a motion.
Make a motion that we approve, the consent agenda.
Thank you, Ms. Gillis. Ms. Gill, have a second?
A second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Are there any questions? There being none, are there any questions? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it, the consent agenda is approved. Next on the items is administration. Information items.
So thank you, Madam Chair and members. We do have 3 information items for this evening. Information item A does provide an overview of our Hope County Schools athletics return to play precautions. Let me ask Mr. Gary Brigman, our athletic director, to please provide that overview.
Yeah, we, as a conference, we in the Sand Hills 3A 4A conference. And it's a new conference that we are involved in, so we have new schools. And the schools that left us are the Robinson County schools and a couple schools from Cumberland County. But we picked up 2 schools from Lee County and 1 more from Moore County. So we're kind of working our way up US 1. So we met last week, and I am the president of the conference. So I said earlier, I just give it to the older people. So, nothing that I don't know, but anyway, we worked on one of the top agenda items was the COVID and how we're going to approach COVID, because it's all around us. It really is. We have schools in Robinson County that are already quarantined, a few schools in Cumberland County that are quarantined. And so we put some guidelines in place for our indoor sports and our indoor activities. And so the focus was volleyball, obviously, because volleyball is the one sport that we have that's indoors. And so we went backwards to last year, and we picked up some best practices from last year, and we implemented it. And so some of the best practices that we came across, number one, we made it mandatory that all masks be worn, which was part of last year's requirement that the High School Athletic Association gave us. The masks to be worn during play, and all masks are to be worn by the spectators that are coming in, okay? And so that was the number one thing, and all the schools were in favor of it, and all the schools, districts have already met, similar to what we have done, and then they're following the guidelines that are set by the state. Now, unlike last year, the High School Athletic Association gave us like a book of practices that we had to do. And it was very difficult. They kind of left it up to the LEAs. And the LEA, ours, said that we needed to cover up inside. And so all the other LEAs were the same. So we are emphasizing wearing the mask. Officials are going to enforce wearing the mask on the floor, okay? The players that are in the gym are to keep the mask on unless there's a medical issue that comes up. If a kid comes up with a doctor's note saying that they can't wear a mask, then we have to honor that. Each sport, each school has what we call a game day administrator, whether it's me or one of our administrators on campus. So they're going to enforce the mask rule with the fans. That's who is in charge of the fans, is the game day administrator. If I see that, if I was the game day administrator and I see that some of the players are not having a mask on, they're sitting on the bench and it's an opposing team, I will go to the coach. And because all the coaches should know, because of our meeting, that we're wearing a mask, okay? And so I will go to the coach and just do a private reminder and just keep the mask up. And that's kind of what we did last year. So we are enforcing it. Again, the administrators there, we're enforcing it with our spectators. And then we're going to do some things in the gym that's similar to last year. We separated the spectators from the players, so the players and spectators are not crossing each other. So we're gonna open up, and at Hoke, we'll open up the bleachers that are on Buck Alley, and that's where we set our players, and then we encourage our JV players that's gonna stay around to sit there also. So we're not gonna try to intermingle with the spectators. Now, there's no limitations. We're not setting any limitations on spectators. Last year, we had a limitation on spectators. We're not doing that this year. Anybody that wants to come to the game can come to the game. We will provide proper seating. We're going to encourage social distancing. We have our signs. We're going to talk to people. We're going to try to do the best we can. Some of the things that we will do in the conference that's a little bit different. In volleyball, you have a procedure called switching floors, switching sides. If you ever watched it on Olympics, after every match, they switch sides. Well, we're not going to switch sides because we're going to provide coolers of water for each opposing team and our team. And there's no sense in switching sides if we're going to be we want to use that cooler and not be able to switch coolers and all that. But in the same sense, we're still encouraging the kids to bring their own containers. Okay, we're not providing cups, and the kids are bringing their own containers. Also, last year, there was a big issue about sanitizing the balls and all that kind of stuff that went on. That's not in place this year. I think, contact me if I put my hand on here and I got COVID. I don't think that's it's not as prevalent now as it was last year when we were heading into it. So the home team will provide balls as is. So today and yesterday, so I'm an observer. So I thought I would go and see if my coaches are doing what they're supposed to do. I think that's what part of my job is. So I went into the gym today. All the girls had a mask on. One or two maybe had it down below the nose, but when they saw me coming, they put it up. Unless they got smell or something. But they recognize the risk. And we talk to them all the time about the risk. And so I went into the weight room. And so that's another issue. I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes. And that's the indoor facility also. And our locker room with football players. All of them are wearing masks. They understand the importance and they don't want to quarantine. And they're already seeing quarantines and what quarantines would do last year. They don't want to see it happen to us this year. Okay? So, High School Athletic Association did give us some best practices and we did implement them. One of the things is that the coaches and officials try to avoid the communication, but that's an outdoor outside person coming in, so we're going to try to limit that as much as possible. We already talked to the officials that are coming in several meetings. They will dress here, unlike last year. We will provide a place for them to dress, and so if they come in, most of the volleyball officials come dressed, so it's not, we don't have to provide that. Also, we are, as a district, is still spraying our locker rooms. We're using the liquid that Scott Manus and the maintenance department has provided for us. We still spray down all our facilities afterwards. We're considering, and I always talk to, and I was fortunate enough, we had what we call a media day. We had all the football coaches from the conference in this past Sunday, and during the media day, we had all the football coaches, and all the football coaches there was we would talk about working out in pods. Okay, if you don't know what a pod is, obviously you do, but working out in little groups, and also masking up. And again, I went out today, or not today, but yesterday I was involved in the football, and we are doing that. We're working in pods as much as we can to understand that football and volleyball are team sports. And even I left the gym a little while ago, we were in pods. trying to schedule games to allow, good separation between them. And, you know, not too sure, interactions between the players of each teams. You know, last year, we instead of shaking hands, kind of bow, things of that sort. We're gonna try to still keep that in place. And also, I said something to you about the water bottles and everything. We're gonna keep that in place also. So now, visiting our outside venues, okay, I'm gonna make up some signs that, next week, we're gonna be playing outside with volleyball, with soccer and football, okay? So we're gonna allow everyone to come in. And we're gonna have signs that say, if you're not vaccinated, please try to wear a mask. We can't tell you to wear a mask, but we highly suggest that you wear a mask. And if anybody else is uncomfortable, to wear a mask, okay? And to sit 6 feet apart, okay? And also try to sit with people that you know, your family members, that sort. So we're gonna try to encourage this. And, we're not gonna chase it down unless you tell me to chase it down. We're gonna try to encourage it and try to let it take care of itself. That being outside, okay? And we already know what we're gonna do for the inside. Not much, the study says that on the outside venues, things seem to be less likely to spread as much as, and so that's kind of where we're going there. So what have we done with some of the rules that we've implemented? Number one, the main facility that we have to be worried about is the field house, okay? So we've encouraged our football players to wear a mask to practice. When they get done dressing, they go outside and set their mask in the locker. They go outside and practice. They come back in, put the mask on in the locker. So today I went and looked, and we're doing it. So I think we're doing our part. I would say about 90%. Now coaches are doing what they're supposed to do. So we're relaying that, even in the weightlifting part. I'm standing over someone's spot, making sure that we have masks. Already talked about working out in pods. We're still doing that, and that's encouraging. This year we had bus trips. If we make a bus trip today, we were going to make a bus trip, but it got rained out with soccer. We still put 1 student per seat, and they all got to wear a mask in the bus. Okay. We asked to do a seat chart. We're going to do a seat chart. In case if y'all are sitting together on the bus and this buoy comes down with COVID, we can quarantine the folks that are sitting around her if they don't have a mask on. If they have a mask, then we won't have to quarantine you, okay? So we're trying to keep a really good seating chart so we know who the people are, okay? I even suggested to take a photo of your crew so that you really, really know. And that way we can finger the people who are sitting in the group if we need to. 1 to a seat, and you try to, this all is taking place to try to limit quarantines, and we don't want to get involved in that. We are constantly talking, and whatever y'all heard, I've already got one report that we're demanding shots. We're not demanding shots, okay? We're encouraging you to get a shot, okay? And so that's kind of where we are with athletics. Now, far away. I think I can have it. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. Maybe I just didn't understand, but would you help me understand what you plan to do in the gym? Because you said everybody can come, and if that gym looks like it normally looks, there's no way we're going to be able to.
Well, we're talking about volleyball, and I've seen our volleyball crowds.
Okay, so you're not talking about basketball?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
I'm hoping that basketball will improve a little bit better. And you're right, we may have to put maybe some limits on the capacity in basketball. Yes, ma'am, you're absolutely right. Volleyball, we don't get as many folks as in volleyball. And then we do have the seats in the end that we could use also. But yes, absolutely. The gym on a Friday night playing 71st, we're not doing that.
And that's a good question.
Yes, it is.
And that's something we'll have to monitor, and if for some reason we start to see where it's getting crowded, that's where we could clearly institute some type of a capacity. That's what we had to do last year, is we had to go, I think, 50% capacity. If that's something that we have to do, we'll prepare to do it. But at this point, with the history of participation at the girls volleyball, it's not usually very full.
No, it's not. And we have to, and our gyms are a little bit different from other people's gyms. We don't have, our gyms are quite a bit smaller than our other opponents that we play. But we have to be careful. And we don't want to put anybody at risk that are visiting from another town.
So what about concession stands? Would that be?
Well, we plan to do concession stands like normal. I don't know of anybody that is not doing anything any different. The health department has not given me any kind of guidelines about concession. We haven't received any kind of guidelines about concessions. But, you know, we had concessions open up pretty much 80% last year. And, no one said anything to me.
So you will have to take your mask off to go to concessions.
Yes, you will, just like you would in a restaurant.
Yes.
And then you should mask back up. Yeah. Yeah, just like you would in a restaurant. And so, and, that's inside. Now outside's a little different.
Right.
Yeah, good question. I know you got them. You're scared to death like I am. I'm afraid that we had it right back. You know, we had this meeting Sunday and I came this close to calling it off, but I had a couple ADs said, let's go ahead and do it. And just kind of, everybody came masked up and everything outside. And so everybody did what they're supposed to do. And so tomorrow we have a scrimmage here with Pine Forest. And so we're going to start implementing some of it. Make sure that we are good. I have all my signs.
Do you know how many of our children have been vaccinated? The incentive that's being offered now, if you been vaccinated for the first time, you get $100. Is that appealing to any of the students here?
I don't really know because I'm not really around them like our coaches, but I can ask. But I do know, I was talking to a few of them, that quite a few has gotten their shots. They've gotten some vaccinations in, at least one dose. And so quite a few of them are doing it. And so that might be the reason why too.
Yeah.
And so that is a good incentive. I think, Ms. Bounds, you got some information on, when we're gonna have some open areas, and she get that to me. I can email it out to the parents and other players. We have our shots available at Okai, such time. No one happened to ask any questions about band. Band.
Oh, yeah, what are you doing
I know, just opened up a can of worms. Is Peggy over there?
Yeah, Dr. Owens can speak when her part, she'll be able to give you some numbers on our vaccinations that we had on site, so that might help give you a little bit more information.
Well, I'm not so sure. We are throwing around the idea that we're not gonna have visiting bands here. It's not but one school district said they want their band to travel, and that's the Richmond County schools want to have their band to travel. But if all of our LEAs feel like it's unsafe, then I think it's a good idea that we don't travel. I think we put other children at risk. I'm not so sure about blowing horns and, you know, all the volume of liquid volume that comes from the horns and things of that sort. I know at Hokai, we got a whole section provided for our band, and it's spread out pretty good, and they spread out. And I'm not so sure what Mr. Pickett and Dr. Benson have talked about as far as their precautions. I think they probably need to have some dialogue on what to do.
And it basically too would be the mask wearing is going to be incredibly important. So when they're not, like you said, keeping the spacing, being outside, but actually when they're not, that mask has to be on.
Yeah.
You know, even outside, for the band, we want their mask on.
So, I'm not real sure about the ban and everything, but I know that's a topic that we discussed a little bit today, and some group messages more than we do about the ban.
Mr. Bergman, are we just, crossing our fingers and just praying? Because I think it was on the air or something yesterday about Polk County, Scotland County, and Moore County being in the red. And so, that being said, we just gonna pray and,
Well, I do believe in prayers,
oh yeah.
but I'm not so sure about crossing the fingers. I don't know. I mean, last year, a lot of the questions that were asked, a lot of the answers was, I don't know.
Right.
And really and truly, we're going back to, I don't know, and we really don't know. But we do know that what's different from last year and this year, a large percentage of folks had a vaccine. And it seems to be working to a point. I know some people with vaccines have gotten it, but we're not losing lives. We're gonna get a cold and, a flu virus and similar, even though you may get the shot, you still might get the flu. So I think it's similar to that. Now, I'm no expert on it, by no means. I'm hoping and praying that we have enough folks that with the vaccine that we can ward off a lot of the issues and everything. And we're gonna keep pushing for the kids, encouraging kids to get the vaccine, and we can still keep the places or, opening up some places, and maybe we could do it at a ball game. Maybe get the health department to come in and do a tent there, vaccine, to get that. So we hear horror stories all over the country, and we hear Channel 11 news is always there, horror stories that scares me to death. Yes, ma'am.
Are we gonna be on the honor system for, you encourage a vaccine, or you just gonna assume that?
I think that's about all we can do.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, unless we were to shift to like, we would make decisions that this is for a vaccinated child or an unvaccinated child, and at that point, they could self-report that. But at this point, because our mandate is basically universal masking, we're not at the point where we need to kind of flush that out. Because basically our stance has been vaccinated or not vaccinated, you're wearing a mask, you're on the sidelines. Like those type of things are for all students right now. But if we were to get to a point where we needed to know that, we've talked with Carolyn about what that would look like, and if it falls under a self-report, that students could self-report that information. Do you want to add to that at all?
Yeah, so there's a possibility, initially CDC's guidelines as it related to sixth grader or middle school and high school was that unvaccinated individuals in schools wear masks. So one option that would be considered by a lot of districts that we work with was having masks be required by everybody, but you can if you want to opt out of that, you can get a waiver from having to wear a mask by demonstrating that you've been fully vaccinated. So it would be a self-report mechanism. And there may be a point, we hope there will be a point, hope sooner rather than later, that the CDC and American Academy of Pediatrics and other organizations will go back to that requirement, or that recommendation, but we're not there yet. That's something that could be considered.
So last year, Dallas bought masks for our football games. And basically, similar to what your mask looks like. It attaches to the face mask of the football helmet. And we wore it during games. And so we were masked up. And so all we did was just attach it, and it was across our face. And we still have them. I haven't decided if I'm gonna mandate our football team to wear them yet, because it does restrict airflow. When I say, obviously it's a mask supposed to do that, but when you're running down the field, it's harder to catch your breath wearing it. And so that was the complaints that we had. And then when they took the helmets off on the sideline to hydrate, then they didn't put a mask on there. So, you know, I ain't got there yet. Probably need to talk to you and see if we need to go that route. I did have heard that some of the schools in the state are going to that. So we're prepared to do it if we decide to do it, but we'll just see how it goes.
I think, you know, a mild message has been sent around masking, appropriate masking, just like Mr. Brigman said, it has to be all, you know, at all times. You know, 15 minutes that I drop it in a weight room could impact other students. So I think it's the importance of making sure students are masked up. And our message has also been, when you can physical distance, do it to the greatest extent possible. That's something that we've been talking to principals about. You know, we have to, as far as you can, to the greatest extent, that's what we're going after. But you know, I think Mr. Brigman and I both agree that if we get to a point where we have to monitor and we have to make some hard decisions or we have to make adjustments, then that's what we will do.
Yeah, we're prepared to do it. One of the things that has come up in the state and athletic world is obviously if you school quarantines and we have to miss a contest, we're gonna call it a no contest. There has been some talk that the high schools are gonna do something similar to what the colleges have done, and it calls them a forfeit a game. Last year we did it. I mean, you heard in my report earlier, we had to do a lot of juggling and rescheduling, trying to make sure that, and we don't want to go back to that. But we do a no contest and figure out a way how to play the game instead of losing the game. So true, we got some teams right now that's sitting out every 10-day period. And so, and we got a couple of them on our schedule that's already sitting out. So it's around us. Any more questions? Be glad to answer them. I don't know if I'm right. Still don't know that answer.
We appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Brigman.
Thank you.
We're gonna be careful.
Sounds so good.
Just know that, we're gonna be careful.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brigman. At this time, we'll move to information item B, which is to share a draft of our Hope County Schools 2021 through 2026 strategic plan. Let me ask Ms. Erica Fortenberry, our Executive Director of Federal Programs, to please share this draft.
Madam Chair, board members, Madam Superintendent, thank you and good evening. I bring you greetings from Hope County Schools Federal Programs Department. Hope County, go back.
I'm sorry.
Our strategic plan is titled, the theme for the next 5 years is resilient and ready. It is the plan for the 2021 school year through 2026. And resilient, we are saying that our commitment to working together to overcome the unforeseen challenges that may present themselves. And ready, we are equipping ourselves to provide a high quality education to all of our students despite their circumstances. So this was the process for our strategic plan. In February, we had virtual meetings with our stakeholders. In March, we had face-to-face meetings because, you know, students were in the building with our students. And then in April, we analyzed the feedback from all of our stakeholders. In May, we started drafting our vision, mission, and our priorities. In June, we had formulated our teams and started setting goals and strategies. And in July, when we had our back to school or summer leadership, each team shared out their priority and they received feedback. And so they had analyzed that feedback in July. And so here in August, we have our vision, mission, core values, and our priorities for review. So this is the part that I'm extremely proud of for our participation and our stakeholders. We had 23 Hope County school parents, 16 community and business leaders, 523 students, 25 assistant principals and academic coaches, 14 principals, 31 central office staff, 39 classified staff, 37 certified, and we also had it online, and on the online responses, 41 were parents. So we have a total of 771 stakeholders to participate or provide feedback on our strategic plan.
Clap for you.
So our vision. The Hope County school system as a trusted community partner will ensure an inclusive and supportive environment that cultivates positive relationships and authentic learning opportunities, which inspire and empower future-ready students. So I want to make sure we have things highlighted, and I want to drill down because Dr. Dallas and the strategic committee have, based on our feedback, has defined these terms, and that's important because we want to ensure that we all on the same road that we're traveling on for the future and for the success of our students. So we're saying a trusted community partner, that Hope County Schools is transparent, and we want to maintain open and consistent communications with all stakeholders. We want to be inclusive and supportive environment, meaning that all students and staff are an integral part of our personalized school classrooms, school environments, and that we value them for their strengths, contribution, diversity, and individual differences. Positive relationship. Hope County School staff will ensure every child has a positive peer and adult relationships that are built on kindness and mutual respect. Authentic learning opportunities. All students will have access to relevant, purposeful, engaging learning experiences that expand on their interests in real life application. And future-ready students. Our students are equipped with knowledge and skills in order to prepare them for this ever-changing global environment. Mission. Hope County Schools creates a student-focused learning community that fosters high expectations for all stakeholders, promote lifelong learning, provides individualized support, and prepares students for success. What is a student-focused learning community? For our Hope County definition, all learning environments support a student-centered approach to learning that fosters students' voice, choice, and relationships. High expectations. All students are capable of excellence and supported to achieve their fullest potential. A lifelong learner. All students are inspired by new learning and growth and experiences and approach life with a growth mindset. Individualized support. Hope County Schools tailor support to each student in order to meet their academic, social, and emotional needs. And success, since that is personal and unique to each learner, Hope County School staff, we want to ensure they have the tools and strategies to provide them to reach their maximum potential. Values, core values, and we have our six I's, or I to the sixth power. Values are individual beliefs that motivate people to act in one way or another, is really the guide to human behavior. And our first I, innovation. We want to continue to embrace forward thinking and creativity. I'm just going to give you all, I'm not going to read each of the I's. Inspiration. Foster an environment that empower and influence creativity, creative thinking, to generate new ideas, goals, and actions. Improvement. We want to engage in continuous improvement because we want to enhance the processes and protocol for our system because we want our system to be effective and efficient. Intention. We want to act with a purpose to achieve desired goals and outcomes. We want to be deliberate in our thoughtful words, actions, and decisions, and we want to make sure that we have a positive influence in our school community. Inclusion, we want to value people for who they are, and really we just want to promote a sense of belonging. Integrity, we want to communicate and act in a trustworthy manner to build relationships. So we have 5 priorities, as you know, and our first one, student success. As you see the little lady on the picture, that's the ultimate goal, that we want our students to graduate, and we want to provide them multiple pathways for student success. Student well-being, we want to make sure that we create an environment that we address the growth of the whole child. Modern and innovative learning environments and systems, we just want to create an environment that technology will enhance the teaching and learning process. Also, our business systems to make sure that we tailor to meet the needs of our students, parents, and educators. Excellent professionals, just like it states, and just like the ones in the presentation. We want to recruit, hire, and support and invest in high-quality people. And communication and community engagement, we want to develop strong connections with our schools, among our schools, families, and our community in order to ensure student learning, development, and growth. Any questions or feedback? And if you have one more thing, the flyer, go have another.
Let me just ask you something.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, people talk about whole kind of schools, you know, all the time, and what we do here. So if someone were to just come to you tonight and say, what's your vision?
For all kinds of students, we're preparing our students to be future ready. And we give them pathways, multiple pathways and opportunities for success. And can no other district beat us on our pathways? And that's the truth. And can't nobody outwork us. And that's the truth.
I just wanted to ask you that because I'm looking at the vision here. It's good, but it seems so long. It's so long. And I look at, it's good though, but I look at the vision as being about a sentence for me to say, okay, this is my vision. This is what we're doing here. This is where we want to go. That's my vision. But if Polk County School System as a trusted community partner with ensure an inclusive and supportive environment that cultivates positive relationships and identity learning, how can you say all of this? You know, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm just asking a question.
I know, I
Because
understand.
sometimes people ask you that, well, what's your vision? What's Polk County School's vision?
Right.
If you had a sentence that the students could learn it, the teachers, the principals, everybody, that was kind of easy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for
They
the
were saying the
feedback.
same thing.
We saying the same
But
thing.
say the same thing, but just.
Condense it.
And Alex, when we met with the team, that's why we kind of did like the bold, because we thought like nobody's gonna really memorize that, but if you know those key points, we're a trusted, like, we're about an inclusive environment, almost
Yeah,
like,
just.
that's why we're kind of like, even when we presented to the principals, we're like, we know you're not gonna
Learn.
memorize this, but you need to know those bold, that's who we are, we're a trusted community partner, we're, you know, and that's kind of why we're packaging it, we're like the PAL of those bold-faced words.
Yeah. Narrow it down.
Narrow down.
Yeah. So cheering.
Yeah.
Good point.
Narrow it down.
Thank you. We will narrow it down.
Okay,
Do you remember back in the old days, are you still talking?
No, I was just saying, Barbara, you know, at one time,
Concise.
I remember years ago when I first got on board, I had them to do a little card like this, we folded about 2 or 3 times. We had the vision, we had the mission, we had the values, right there, that you can carry it around in your pocketbook, you can look at it, And it was easy to learn.
We're gonna do that. We're gonna narrow it down. We're gonna condense it.
Okay,
And we'll.
I bring the committee back. I meet with them on Monday.
but that won't be a problem.
That won't be a problem. I just want you to introduce my committee.
Who's that?
My committee. Dr. Dallas is sitting on there, even though she's the superintendent. We have her on there, but I want to start with Dr. Ramseur. She's on our committee, Dr. Register, Dr. Owens, Dr. Hunt, Dr. Thomas, and we have also, Ms. Bounds, and we also added a new person a couple weeks ago, Sean O'Connor. He sometimes sit in.
But I love this. I love this job. But you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, we got it.
Yes, ma'am.
So are
Okay.
we thinking more like, are you thinking like the mottos, like that?
Yes.
One word,
Kind of.
like a phrase or
Yeah,
something.
kind of phrase, like a sentence, just a little one thing, the children could learn, so the parents. Just our vision.
I just want to say, I agree with Ms. Pickett, and I remember years and years ago, they used to tell you if it took more than one floor on an elevator, it was too long. So get on an old elevator.
You go pay it now. Any other feedback?
But I do appreciate the item. Now, was that original?
The vision?
The eyes.
The eyes, yeah, we met, we came up with different, the vision team, and we all had different ones. One group was really a good group. That was our group. And that's how the eyes developed. From that one group. You like those eyes?
I like those eyes.
See, those some good eyes.
Remember, there's no INT. No INT.
But we're gonna condense it, and we'll have a new flyer, but we did provide you a flyer because we do want you to go out in the community and let your, constituents know that we value their input when we met with them, and that our strategic plan is based on the feedback that we received from our stakeholders, and that's important, that was important to us. So the team made sure that we took everybody's feedback and incorporated it into the strategic plan.
That's good. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Okay, information item C is an update on our COVID-19 and vaccinations. Let me ask Dr. Peggy Owens, our Executive Director of Student Support Services, to share that information, please.
Good evening, Madam Superintendent, Madam Chair, and members of the board. We want to share with you just a brief update and try to address some of the questions that you may have. So this is our data that reflects from December 14th to 2020 in terms of the number of COVID, 2020 through August 5th, 2021, the total number of cases for the month of August for the county, which you can see is 5,305 cases. And we've been pretty steady as it relates to death in Hope County, as you can see over the month, that we've only had, since May, actually. So we just kind of held at that 56. Now, for its vaccinations, we currently have from this data, we're at 45% of the residents that have one dose, have taken one dose of the vaccine of their choice. And then we have 41% that's fully vaccinated. Those numbers have changed just a tad bit as of yesterday. So we have a total of 25,409 residents. And so we're right at 46% of one dose of those, of the residents in Hope County that have been vaccinated. And we're still at that 41% for is fully vaccinated. Question?
The numbers.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that a carryover, or did we just, was that the numbers for that particular month? That was the same all 3 months?
Yes, sir. The numbers that you see there reflects from December, the data for Hope County beginning in December through August the 5th, 2021.
So you said we had no deaths in July and August?
No, ma'am, we did not. And that's one of the things that, you know, in talking with Ms. Edwards, that she is really proud of that, you know, because it's, when I say held steady, but we haven't had any deaths. If you all remember when we first started this journey, back in December, January, February, the deaths were just pretty constant because of the number of cases. But this is where we are now in terms of deaths that's COVID related for our county.
Thank you.
I want to just ask
Ma'am,
When is this accurate?
it is.
I
When
wonder.
now, when they report the deaths, it's picking, they report them like in terms of COVID and COVID-related conditions. Now, what I would, we had a conversation about this about a month ago, and that was one of the things that she had pointed out. Now, it usually takes maybe about a couple of weeks or so if somebody is, let's say, out of state, or they claim Polk County as their resident, that information is passed on to the county for a number of deaths that we do receive. Now, we don't know what the coroner put in. So if the coroner put in, COVID or COVID-related illnesses, they determine deaths, that's the report, that's the information that we have. So, based on what's been put in the system. Okay,
Yes.
and that's what we're reporting.
That's what good.
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Owens,
Yes, ma'am.
what's a COVID-related?
What's a COVID-related illness? Someone may have a respiratory disease like COPD,
Okay.
and so they consider that as a COVID-related illness. Oftentimes, those illnesses could be diabetes that's related to COVID. That's the reason when we first started this journey.
And do we count those if they die?
Yes, ma'am, they'll call it COVID-related,
Related.
is the way they report it. A COVID-related
Not
illness.
COVID, because.
Well, it depends on, and when I say the way they report it, it may be strictly COVID, or they may tag it COVID-related illness.
But would both of those show up in those numbers?
Yes,
The
ma'am.
COVID related would be
Yes,
there as well?
yes. Because you have that underlying condition, whatever that underlying condition may be for you or for that individual. And then what happens when they get COVID, that COVID attacks those organs, it attacks your immunity system. So, it draws on it to continue to weaken that system. The virus does. Other questions?
Thank you.
I know that we have, how should I put it? Various conversations
Okay.
Among us and among different people that we know. But in terms of what's reported and how it's reported, that's what we're sharing.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, that's what we're sharing. And so
Yeah.
we share what has actually been put in.
Yes.
If that's. Any other questions? Okay, next slide, and this is a little bit difficult to see if we did. We took a picture. I tried to do is actually a slide, but what I wanted to share with you, because I think you guys had asked last month, and also I think Mrs. Maynard, in terms of how many individuals, in terms of what the vaccination rate is. And I can put this in a different document for you and share it with you. But just kind of to give you some indication of where we are within the age group. So currently, in our population, in terms of those persons, the percentage who have been vaccinated, we have 6% of our 12 through 17-year-old age group. 6% of them have been vaccinated. We have 7% between the ages of 18 and 24. And then we have 34% between the ages of 25 and 49. 27% between the ages of 50 and 64. And then we have 17% between the ages of 65 and 74, and 10% 75 plus. So that kind of gives you a bit of an indication. Now, and I'm just going to kind of combine the next slide. So as you remember, June, when I share, we first started our first vaccination event with the health department. And so that started actually at San Hope Early College High School during their bridge program. And so during that particular period, Hope County Health Department worked with us, and we were at several sites. We were at San Hope Early College High School, East Hope, West Hope, and Hope County High School. So during that first event, there were 143 persons who received the Pfizer, their first dose. And there was 99 who came back to receive their second dose of that 143. And then during that event, we had actually 3 persons who opted for J&J. So now this is where we are now, and you guys have been provided a copy in the presentation of our second event, the second vaccination event. Again, it is a collaboration between the Hope County Health Department. Dr. Karen Smith is working with us, her and her team, and she has the mobile unit from Old North State Medical Society. So we started last week with that event, and we had a total of 43 persons to come out to get first doses. So we were at the high school, when they came to the high school last week, and the governor, I think it was on Wednesday evening, the governor announced that they were increasing the gift cards. So the gift cards was made available in the amount of $100 for anyone who was age 18 and older could receive that gift card. And if that individual was a driver, so if I brought my son, let's say, I could get $25, and the person who was 18 years or older could receive a $100 gift card. Well, during that time, we had 13 people here, and when I had to go to a meeting, and they ran out of gift cards, but they made them good because people were, that type of incentive work, you know. People said they could do more with $100 than they could do with $25. So this week, we started at, today, we were at West Hope Elementary School. And they were able to they vaccinated a total of 17 people today. And so that's 17 more that we add, to the total. So the health department is really excited about that. So one of the things that we are seeing an increase in the number of people who are getting vaccinated. And so one of the things that we want to make sure that we do is to encourage people to get vaccinated. Mrs. McCray, you are absolutely right. We are high. Of course, our transmission rate, we're back in the red again. Our positivity rate is right at 19.72%. And so we are seeing an increase. So in terms of mitigation measures, the recommendation is vaccination. That we need to encourage our residents. We need to encourage each other in Hope County to get vaccinated, because that's going to help us in the long term. The Delta variant is very aggressive. We are seeing cases, and I know that, each of you are familiar, family members and friends, and, as the media shares with us that it's the unvaccinated individuals, we're also seeing some breakthrough cases as well. So it's very important, that we encourage everyone to get vaccinated. We need to encourage people to wear their face coverings, and not just wear the face coverings, but the face coverings need to be worn correctly. I think that's one of the things that, we often say, wear your face covering. But are you wearing that face covering correctly so that it is tight, that it does cover your nose, this area? So that's something that we can help with, and the physical distancing. that we practice that 6 feet apart. Those persons who are not in our household or our immediate family that we're not mingling with on a regular basis. I don't need to, I love Miss Pickett, but I don't need to hug Miss Pickett, because Miss Pickett and I don't live together. We need to be able to converse just like Miss Bowie and I, but, we need to stay 6 feet apart because we are not all what? We're not living together. We're not in the same family. So those are some things that we have to remind ourselves that, we are human beings, right? So that's natural. The other thing is testing, that we still need to encourage people to get tested. Oh, you can encourage people to get tested. We will be sharing some information with you at our next board meeting. The state is releasing, actually, we're listening to webinars about testing programs for the K-12 schools. And so we'll come back to share that with you. But also in our mobile unit, Dr. Smith is providing testing and vaccination. So when persons come to get vaccinated or they want to get tested, they can also get tested at our vaccination clinics. And then we want to be mindful of our cleaning and hygiene and ventilation. So these are also mitigation measures, that we can communicate to others and make sure that we're practicing them ourselves. I think that's it. Any questions, any additional questions? Yes,
Do
ma'am.
you know which shot they're giving? I know when I took the shot, it was the Moderna, which is a 2-shot. So my concern is if they're doing the Moderna and there's 2 shots, and people going to get that 1 shot to get that $100 gift card, they're not fully vaccinated if they're not getting that 2nd shot. So that means our numbers are going to continue to increase. So I'm just saying, do they have the 1 shot where if they're giving the gift cards, are they doing just the 1 shot where they don't have to come back and get that 2nd shot? Do you know?
No, I don't know, but okay, so we're offering all 3 shots. Okay, so we have Pfizer because for the students, they can only receive the Pfizer, 12 years and older. And they have the Moderna as well. So on the J&J, there was, for our purposes, it was only 3. So those are not the persons who, those 3 persons may be given the gift cards, but like we had 43 last week. So, no, what I'm saying to you is that it's not the $100 gift card only. People are taking the Moderna. And then you're saying, are they coming back? Well, you can see the majority are coming back, pretty much for the 2nd dose, but that's our data. But sometimes people, like when we first started this over at San Hope Early College, they consulted with the nurses and they gave them a window of time. If they could not come back like in their 21 or 28 day, they had some leeway there and told them that they could come to the health department and get their 2nd dose because those persons was traveling.
So the shot that they're giving the
Pfizer.
that's the 1 shot.
For 12, no, J&J is the 1.
Okay.
But see, for your 12 and older, for your 12-year-olds, for our students, they can only receive the Pfizer,
Okay.
okay? You have to be 18 years or older in order to get the J&J, the Johnson, for kids. And of course, the Moderna, but Pfizer is for our 12 years and older.
Dr. Owen,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
can answer the question. At the health department, they're giving all 3.
Okay.
When you go in there, they will ask you, because I'm taking people down there,
Okay.
and starting Wednesday. And they will ask them, which one do you want?
Okay.
They got 3. So if they
So
choose,
they doing all 3.
they will choose which one they want. Last week they were full. I mean, you couldn't sit down. But Monday, they're out. They were out today. They're still waiting on the shot. They've given out.
Yeah.
So I don't know when they'll get them back this week. Sometimes they say they're expecting it today. But I know Monday and today they're out. But they had 3. They chose. Yeah.
Yeah, they.
You can choose the one you
Right,
want.
okay. Who do they get their $100? First shot or second shot?
Now,
Ma'am, they,
last Wednesday, they started. They were out, they didn't have them. So they told you, come back Monday. Yesterday, the ones that went last week, they will call you on the phone and tell you to come down and get your money. And they went down and got their money.
That was with one shot?
yeah,
the
it's,
first-
it's
yes.
just, yes, ma'am,
That's
it's all
the-
they want,
Only,
it's, right.
yeah. you
Right,
take
your
one shot,
first, it's for the first dose only.
First dose, yeah.
And so for us, the team that came here, what they did, when they ran out, they received the people information and they called them later and they said, once those gift cards, the state had to send more down. So, then they made that good, they called the people so that they could go and, receive their $100 gift card. But it's for one dose only. But like Ms. Pickett is sharing, so let's say that Ms. Pickett, she would be eligible,
$25.
that's right, for $25, because she's a driver.
Yeah. I'm a
And it's
driver.
because she's a driver.
Yeah.
Because, that's the way the language is.
It
because
is,
she
and that's true.
That's
I
right,
made
it's
it
true,
known.
because
It's
you're true.
You know, I say, now I'm the driver, I brought this person. You get your gift card, okay, thank you.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, you get $25.
That's true.
But Dr. O, you are convinced that people are gonna go back and get that second shot.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what the bill is trying to do.
Right, and that's what,
Or are we gonna end up with a whole bunch of people with only one shot?
I am convinced, because as I was saying, on the first clinic that we had, and I was there, so what happened was, we had 2 days at San Hope Early College, High School. The first day, they only vaccinated 4 people. So, the word was out. Next day, we vaccinated 45 people. So, and we did families of people, where we had families that came in. So we had about 2 families, and those persons were getting ready to travel out of town. And so they were concerned about receiving their second dose. They said, well, we will not be here at the date of their second dose, so what do we do? And so the nurses shared with them that they could come to the health department. It was okay, let me know what day you're leaving. You can come a couple of days before you leave, but once you get back, if they were not able to make that time, then they could go to the health department to get that second dose.
One more question, and I think Ms. Chambers to this. Ms. Chambers,
Yes, ma'am.
if 143 people got the first one and 99 got the second one, does that leave us about a third on?
If a third remained to take,
About a third didn't show up for the second
Yeah.
dose. So my math is almost right.
your math is so much right, yes.
And that's at the time of the data that that I have presented to you guys.
It's also possible people can go to a different location for that
That's true.
second shot.
That's right. Because, that's a very good point, because we also have persons who get their shots, not just here in Hope County, they can get the shot anywhere. They can even get them out of state, Because that was one of the things when we first started getting the vaccine that was here. We had lots of people who came from out of state and from out of county to get their vaccination. Any more questions?
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you,
thank you.
Okay, Madam Chair and members, that does conclude our informational items for this evening.
Okay. I have a motion need a motion to go into closed session.
Madam Chair, I make a motion, we go into closed session. The board would enter the closed session to consider confidential personnel information protected on GS 143-318, 111A, 1A, 3, and A. 6, to consult with the Board of Education attorney, preserve the attorney's privilege as provided in GS 143-318, 111A3. HWC by and through its parents, WC and SCB versus Hope County Board of Education. 21, EDC 02856, and to consider confidential student information protected under GS 111C 402 and the Family Education Rights and Privilege Act 20 USC 123 2G.
Thank you, Ms. Pickett. May I have a second?
A second.
Thank you. It's been moved and second to go into closed session for confidential and personal information protected under GS 143.
Just as stated, you don't have to reread it, I'll show them the pause.
For, as stated by Ms. Pickett. All in favor? All opposed? The ayes have it. We're in closed session. Yes, I am going to ask that we take